Shalom. As we are in the midst of the beautiful holiday of Hanukkah, I'd like to share with you some insight into what is the nature of the mitzvah of hadlakat nerot, of lighting the candles. The rabbis have an extensive debate, a sugya that goes on for a complete daf, beginning with one question, and then embedding a second question inside that one. The Gemara begins with the debate of Rav and Shmuel, two first-generation Amoraim, debating the question of madlikin miner laner or ein madlikin miner laner. Shmuel says one is permitted in fact to light from one candle to the next, and Rav says no, one is in fact prohibited to light from one candle to the next. The Gemara seems to be unable to come to a conclusion that says, my havi'ala, okay, so nu, how do you paskin? And the Gemara says, you know what, I think that if we look at a secondary machloket, we'll have an answer to our question of whether one is permitted to light from one candle to the next. Says Rav Huna Bered Rabbi Yoshua, in fact, the debate of Rav and Shmuel is embedded in another debate of ihad lakausa mitzvah, if the essential nature of the mitzvah is the lighting, the igniting of the flame, or alternatively, is the essential nature of the mitzvah the placing of the menorah in the window, in the public sphere, for the purposes of pirsum hanes. Says the Gemara, ihad lakausa mitzvah, if in fact the essential nature of the holiday, of this mitzvah, is the lighting, then madlikin miner laner, one would be permitted to light from one candle to the next. However, ihanachausa mitzvah, if the placing of the menorah in its location for pirsum hanes is the essential act, then we would say, ein madlikin miner laner, because it must be completed by the time you put it in the window. After going through an extensive sugya, once again the Gemara says, Shma mina, hadlakausa mitzvah, Shma mina. We paskin, says the Gemara, that the essential nature of the mitzvah is lighting the candles, igniting the flame. And in fact, the Rambam, in Perek Daled Mehilchot Chanukah, Halacha Tet, says straightforward, one is in fact permitted to light from one candle to the next. However, Tosfot already on the Daf Chaf Gimel Amud Aleph say, though that's correct, that is a correct read of the simple Gemara, Kivan shenagu halam lahachmir, since the custom of the community is to be stringent, ein l'shanot haminhag. A custom developed not to light from one candle to the next. And Tosfot quotes the minhag. And in fact, this debate between Rambam and Tosfot appears again in the Shulchan Aruch in Tafresh Ayin Daled. The Mechaber quotes the Rambam straightforward, one is permitted to light from one candle to the next. And the Ramah quotes the minhag to be machmir. The Mishnah Berurah Aruch HaShulchan outlines more of the details. What is this machloket really about? I'd like to elaborate on this debate of ihad lakausa mitzvah, if lighting is the mitzvah, or hanachausa mitzvah, through the lens of the Kedushat Levi, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Miberdichev. In his drushim on Hanukkah, sets up a fascinating paradigm. That really this debate of hadlaka versus hanacha, igniting on the one hand versus placing, is not just a debate about the candles of Hanukkah, but there's a deeper debate going on here. There's a machloket about the nature of every mitzvah. Is the goal of a mitzvah to lahadlik, to ignite us, to enliven us, to aflame us, to bring us to another level? Or alternatively, is the purpose of the mitzvah hanacha, noach, comfort, peace, calm? And says Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, says Kedushat Levi, that of course the answer is that it's a little bit of both. That we need to have both. But that on Hanukkah the mitzvah is hadlaka, to be enlivened, to be on fire, to be excited. And says Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, we need to bring that not only to the mitzvot on Hanukkah, but to all that we do, to our Torah study, to our tefillah, to all of our interactions. I'd like to conclude with a beautiful image from the last Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zichrono Livracha. He tells the story of a chassid and the Rebbe. The chassid says, Rebbe, what is the task of a Jew in this world? Says the Rebbe, a Jew is a lamplighter on the streets of the world. In olden days, there was a person in every town who would light the gas street lamps. He would carry with him a long lamp on the end of a very long pole. On the street corners, the lamps were there, waiting in readiness, waiting to be lit. A lamplighter had a pole and a flame supplied to him from the town. He knows that the fire is not his own, and he goes around lighting the lamps on his route. Asks the chassid, but what if the lamp is in a desolate wilderness? Says the Rebbe, of course, then too he must light it. Let it be noted that there is a wilderness, and let the wilderness feel ashamed before the light. But asks the Chassid, what if the lamp is in the midst of the sea? Then one must take off their clothes, jump into the water, and light it there, says the Rebbe. And that is the Jew's mission. Indeed, that is the Jew's calling. The calling of each of us, says the Lubavitcher Rebbe, is to be a lamplighter. I hope that on this Hanukkah we are able to achieve a little bit of both. To achieve a sense of Hanukkah, a sense of peace in our own homes, with our family, with our community, with Klal Yisrael, and indeed with the entire world. And at the same time, we're able to, each of us, be a lamplighter, to ignite one another, to live a life that's on fire, that has tefillah that's on fire, that learning is exciting. People want to be there. People want to be part of the community. And that each of us, in our own ways, can be a lamplighter. Chag Sameach.